Eric Bagley, Lloyd's Automotive, in a customer's warehouse. Here fixing a Mitsubishi forklift, no start condition, bad distributor. So we're just going to make a quick video on how to take the distributor in and out so we make sure everything is timed properly. So when we go back together, it's going to be quick and easy because everything's going to be marked and we're going to be able to get everything lined up properly. Timing is an important thing, and this is just a quick how-to on how to make that happen. Alrighty everybody, we're going to get underway and let's get started with this project. So I've already cranked the engine over and got the distributor rotor in a place that's pointing up to make it a little bit easier. So we've got the rotor facing up. All we're going to do is I always just take and put a mark on my rotor with a correlating spot onto the distributor. Since we are replacing this distributor, since we have marks on the housing, we're not going to be able to see those marks on the new distributor. So we need to go to a correlating spot that's going to be easy to track on the other distributor so we can line it up the same way on this one. So by going to the screw on that vacuum pod, that's going to be in the same location on the other distributor. So it's just going to make it much easier to line everything up. And then we need to go over to where the bolt is. And we're going to just mark that as a relation to where it's lined up on the housing. Now once again, we are replacing this distributor. If you weren't replacing it, it makes it even easier because then all your marks are going to line up perfectly and you almost wouldn't even have to time the engine because everything's going to be in the exact same spot. But since we are replacing it, this just gives us a reference point to where it originally was set up on this distributor. So it's going to get us pretty darn close to where we need to be. All right, so we're going to start getting the distributor off of here. One other very important thing is do not turn or crank the engine over while you have the distributor off and you have everything marked, because once it cranks over, everything's going to be completely out of alignment at that point. So don't touch the key, do not start it. So we've got to disconnect our electrical connectors here. Disconnect our vacuum line, and then we can get this distributor off of here. 12mm wrench on it. And this is a FG30 Mitsubishi forklift. That we're working on. All right, out she comes. All right, so we got it out of here. And then you can just see, just as another example of the marks that we have. I mean, basically it's going to line just up like this. We do have a distributor with angled gear on it. So when you go into it, that distributor is going to turn as it goes in. So you kind of going to have to, depending on which direction it's going to be moving, aim it in that direction, because as it goes in, it's going to kind of go like that. You can't line it up right out on your mark in the beginning. Otherwise, it's going to be now over here, as for example. This is the new distributor here. Just match it up, make sure we got all the, that everything looks the same on it. Now you're going to want to put some oil or grease on this O-ring here to make it so it slides in easily and doesn't catch or roll as it goes into the engine housing. We'll need to take the cap off so we can see our rotor. Then we can just put our marks on here like we have on this one. And everything's looking pretty much exactly the same. Okay, so we're just going to make the opposing marks like we have on our other one, right here and right there, so we can line everything up. And then we'll also make a mark here, roughly to where it was at on the other one, as our basis points. So we're going to use some oil to lube the O-ring. Since we are not in the shop right now. We're just gonna have to take some off of this dipstick here. A little cheat trick to get some lube on there. Otherwise, I would have just gotten fresh assembly lube grease to do it. But this will work under the conditions that we're in, since we're not in the shop with all of our stuff. Okay, so we're gonna bring it up close, and then we got to see which direction this gear is gonna turn as we slide into it. So we're kind of do a run here and just see kind of where things line up at. And we can take it in and out a couple of different times. Just kind of see which direction everything's going to turn. All right. So as you can see right here, we don't have it lined up correctly, but at least we know what direction everything is turning. The rotor is turning counter clockwise when you go in. So this is about the location it's going to be sitting when it is finally installed. So we're going to need to move this rotor back clockwise so that when it goes counterclockwise, it's going to track itself into the right spot. So we're going to try it right here and then just see where we line up at in the end. We may have to take it back out again. Okay, so we're going to take it out and we're going to need to move it one more tooth again, going in the clockwise direction. So you just want to kind of carefully back it off and now move it counterclockwise to engage into that next tooth. And then see where we're at. So we're pretty good right there. Yep, we think we got it right on where we want it. As you can see, the rotor's facing the same place that it was before, and it's marked, lined up with our mark on the distributor, and then we moved the housing assembly in relation to the stud that's right here to about where it's going to be when off of the other one, off of the witness marks on it, and about the same place. Now it'll get us set up pretty close to get the timing where we need it. And we're going to have to get the wiring connected up on it, get the vacuum line plugged into it. Not going to show those in the video. I mean, they're pretty straightforward. You just got to make the connections where they need to go. And we'll take it from there. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we got the distributor back together again. We got the cap on it. We've got the wires going to it and the vacuum hose connected up again. So we're just going to verify we have spark before we sit here and start cranking on it to see if at least we have spark now versus when we first tried it, there was no spark at all. So we just need to disconnect the spark plug wire. Got the spark tester here. You just plug it in, pretty simple to do. Put it to a ground. And then we just need to crank it over. And we'll turn this light off. You can see the spark a little bit better. Hopefully we have it, right? So you can see the spark that was shooting across between the 2 points. Lets us know that now we have spark. So now we're going to be ready to start it and know that that has been fixed as a problem that it had. We had to put a jump box on it because the battery is pretty low from it probably being previously cranked on trying to start when it had no spark. We got the overhead light here. It's working nice for Milwaukee light. Then we're also been using the Stinger flashlight. I like the lime green, pretty cool color. to help see everything as we're working on in here. Handy stuff to have around, especially when you're doing remote travel into areas where you don't know how good the light's going to be or not. While we were doing the spark test on the vehicle, we had the propane tank turned off. That way it didn't try to start and run while we were checking the spark on it, because we had a cylinder disconnected. So we got the propane turned on now. Let's see if we're going to start up. So we know we have spark. Our timing should be set because we marked everything and put the new distributor back into where the off the old marks on the other one. So let's see what we got here. All right, success no less. She starts and runs. We move our distributor here. We can kind of hear how if it likes more or less on the timing. Definitely likes it more right there, so we'll just kind of leave it at that moment, that spot right there. All right, so now we're going to go through and get our base timing set. We got to have to mark on the crank where top dead center is, and then we're can get it set up so that it's at the proper exact timing that it needs to be. Much easier since we got everything marked on that old distributor before we removed it, and because we had all our marks set up and we're able to put this one back in that same spot, made this to be a pretty simple job. We're going to replace the spark plugs on it now. We got the distributor working, engine runs. We're just going to complete the rest of the tune-up stuff. So we're going to do the distributor cap rotor, and then the spark plugs and spark plug wires. The new distributor came with the new cap and rotor on it. We have the old cap on it right now because just wanted to make sure it was going to start and run before we start messing with a bunch of other stuff, which it did. So now we can go through and just put all the tune-up parts on it. So here we go.
Hey, from the moment of my opened eye, been looking for a guided light to lead me on my way. Yeah, lost, struggling to make the top. A slipping grip can't hold me up. It's the game of life we play.
We need to set the gap on the spark plugs to make sure they're set at the proper amount. So we got the gapper tool here of the different sizes, so we can go through and get these set where they need to be.
From this moment rolling up, a speeding train can't hold it up. You and I, we lost our way. You cheated light and ran away, and I got stuck with a knife in me, and this pain won't go away, but still, when everything comes crashing down.
I was checking the length on each one of them and just doing longest on this side to shortest on that side. And as we're putting them in, we're making sure we get a click out of each one that they've clicked in, fully securely engaged in. And as we go, we'll just put them into the new cap. So I got your defining mark right there, where it's going to fit into a notch right here. So we just got to count over from the notch. So we got 1 and 2. That's where that one's going to go.
I'm used to the pain, but baby, don't forget, it's all fun and game until the final step. That's when you overstep. You know that I'm weak, you exploit that, yeah. I'm down on my knees when you place your bet. Keep telling myself it's the last of it, but I hold on when everything comes crashing down. Yeah, at your door when I hear the sound. You say the word and I'll stay the night.
All right, so we just got them all off of there. Got them on the new cap. New rotor's already on it. Now I just got to place this cap in here. And on each one of these, we just got to slide these down on here. Easier to do it before it's all clipped in. Another important thing is you got to release the air on these because they can pop off because of the vacuum that they create. So you just go around each one of these and you just go up underneath it and just make sure that you bring air to each one of them. Just that extra precautionary step to keep things all perfect. Got everything wrapped up. Spark plugs in, spark plug wires, distributor, forklift is running good. Now my customer can get back to work and not have to load all their trucks by hand. That's not too fun. Extremely hard work considering they're cement bags and huge pieces of fencing material. Hit that like button and subscribe.